Hello students, welcome to the present segment on 12th night. We were talking about Malvolio's character, and I told you that in this segment we'll be talking about how he behaves with Viola, and this would be in Act 2, Scene 2, and you will find it from line 3 onwards. Let's start from the beginning of the scene actually. Enter Viola and Malvolio at several doors. The Elizabethan stage, they had two doors, almost adjacent to each other. So from one door, Malvolio enters and the Viola enters from another door. There were no wings. There were people sitting along the sides as well. Were not you even now with the Countess Olivia? Wasn't you were the person with Countess Olivia, weren't you? So that's what Malvolio wants to say. What does it tell you about Malvolio's character? That he never notices a person properly. He's so self-engrossed, so taken up with himself, that he hardly remembers the name, the face of a person. Viola says, "Even now, sir, on a moderate pace. I have since arrived but hither." Viola is a bit surprised, and what Viola says also, accentuates Malvolio's habit. That only now I was with the Countess. And see how Malvolio talks about something which is completely unfamiliar to Viola. "She returns this ring to you, sir." This is completely a kind of a plot set up by Olivia. Actually, Viola left no such ring or anything like that. It's a ploy on the part of Olivia so that Viola again returns. "She returns this ring to you, sir. You might have saved me my pains to have taken it away yourself," she adds. "Moreover, that you should put your lord into a desperate assurance, she will none of it. And one thing more, that you be never so hardy to come again in these affairs, unless it be to report." So here lies the moot point. "Unless it be to report your lord's taking of this. Receive it so. You should not come over here. Only if you want to communicate how your lord receives the news that there is no hope on his part, you can come." Olivia, when she is sending the ring, she knows very well that Viola will come back with the ring, because actually no such ring was offered. But look at Viola's intelligence. She took the ring of me and none of it. Viola is obviously surprised, but somehow she is able to conceal her surprise over here. Malvolio says, "Come, sir," you peevishly threw it to her, without knowing anything about the ring. So he is surmising everything. You peevishly is arrogantly, in an ill-mannered way, and her will is, it should be so returned. If it be worth, and then he actually throws the ring. "If it be worth stooping for, there it lies in your eye. If not, be it his that finds it." This is the way to return the ring. You can see how he is behaving with Viola. He has no concern with Viola at all. He does not know anything about the ring. He does not know whether Viola gave it in an arrogant way or in a proper way. But still he is somehow accusing Viola. Cesario, better to say, because we don't know. You must remember that the audience doesn't know Viola's name until Sebastian comes. So this is the way he behaves with Sebastian. And in fact, this is the way he behaves with people who are his social similars or socially inferior to him. Either his equals or inferior to him. Obviously, Viola is Malvolio's page. Cesario is Malvolio's page. And Orsino's page. Cesario is Orsino's page. And Malvolio is Olivia's steward. Now both are employed. But see how Malvolio behaves towards Cesario. They are more or less in the same social hierarchy, isn't it? But he considers himself higher than that, placed in a situation where his self-estimate actually places him in a higher place than that. Now, this is just what Maria had pointed out, and we had studied extensively in our previous segment. Of course, we know that he behaves badly with Feste, he behaves badly with Viola. Viola does not retaliate, or Cesario does not retaliate. He is not in a position to retaliate, and and I don't think he is of the psychological type to count on things and to give back. Okay, but Feste is quite notorious, and he can be quite notorious at times. So we will come to a place where Feste actually gives back Malvolio what he feels to be his due. It is Act 4, Scene 2, and these are lines from 39 onwards. We'll read those lines. Malvolio, protesting, "I'm not mad, Sir Topus." And Feste has disguised as Sir Topus and come to exorcise Malvolio, as it were. "I am not mad, Sir Topus. I say to you, this house is dark." And what does the clown say? "Madman, thou errest. You are wrong. I say there is no darkness but ignorance, in which thou art more puzzled than the Egyptian in the fog." Egyptian in the fog, I think we discussed these lines. The Egyptian in the fog actually refers to the locusts covering the sky of Egypt in the story of the book of Exodus, the Old Testament of the Holy Bible. And the Egyptians were baffled by it. So, ignorance is the greatest darkness. Of course, that's true, but to say this to this person who is incarcerated, who is not a mad person, but people are taking him to be a mad person quite deliberately, is somewhat very cruel also. Malvolio says, actually the place is dark, and Malvolio is not being able to press upon the point that it is dark. "I say this house is as dark as ignorance. The ignorance was as dark as hell. And I say this, and see there was never a man thus abused as myself." As Malvolio says, "I am no more mad than you are. Make the trial of it in any constant question. Take any kind of test. I am not a mad person." What is the opinion of Pythagoras concerning wildfowl? Now this refers to the transmigration of the soul we have discussed earlier. Malvolio says that the soul of our grandam might happily inhabit a bird. The doctrine of transmigration of soul says that if your soul can go out and after death and go into any living form. So it can be a bird, which is a wildfowl. "What thinkest thou of his opinion? I think nobly of the soul, and no way approve his opinion. But I can't accept this." His idea of metapsychosis, if you want to put it in formal terms, the transmigration of the soul. Farewell thee, remain thou still in darkness. Thou shalt hold the opinion of Pythagoras ere I will allow of thy wits, and fear to kill a woodcock, lest thou dispossess the soul of thy grandam. Fare thee well. So I think nobly of the soul and no way approve his opinion is a perfect answer when it comes to the kind of a rational analysis of Pythagoras from the Christian point of view. That the soul is not so debased thing to enter into the body, or Christians don't actually believe in a rebirth. So it would not, the transmigration of the soul, or the metapsychosis, as you may call it, is not something that I can accept. But you see that though he says that he does not accept it, still it is hard upon him. Fare thee well, remain thou still in darkness. What darkness? The darkness of the idea of Pythagoras, the ignorance of Pythagoras, so to say. Feste is saying this. Thou shalt hold thy opinion of Pythagoras ere I will allow of thy wits. You must accept Pythagoras' idea before I admit that you are sane, and you should also, in fact, in order to get a sanction from me, you have to accept Pythagoras before. And this becomes very confusing. And the rest of the lines are very abusive also, that you are not going to kill a woodcock ever, because maybe the soul of the woodcock resides in your grandam. So you see, Feste, as you remember, was silent when Malvolio actually abused him, in the presence of Olivier, the employer of both. Again, the question of hierarchy coming over there. And see how Feste is relishing on the revenge he has taken on Malvolio over here. Of course, Malvolio is more sinned against than sinning, to use King Lear's phrase. And sometimes we are a little bit uneasy with the way Malvolio is treated by these characters over here. And that raises the very important problem of Malvolio discussion. And that is to some extent raised inside the texture of the play itself, when in the same act and same scene, Act 4, Scene 2, Sir Toby says, I would we were well rid of him, of this knavery, if he may be conveniently delivered. Okay, so at one point he seems a little bit regretful that it's better that we should not be such a knave to him, and maybe the consequences would not be proper. But still Feste goes on mocking Malvolio, and the entire mistreatment of Malvolio continues till Act 5, Scene 1. When the clown says, this is Act 5, Scene 1, and this is line 376, when the clown says, why? Some are born great, quoting. We have already done this part, so I'll not go to explain it, but just read it. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. This is quoting from Malvolio's own words. I was one, sir, in this interlude, one, Sir Topus, sir, and that's all one. So I was the Sir Topus. By the Lord, fool, I am not mad. By the Lord, fool, I am not mad. But do you remember, madam, why laugh you had such a barren rascal? Remember those words, barren rascal. Feste also remembers, and Feste has taken the revenge. And you smile not, he is gagged. And if you don't smile, he is unable to speak. That's the part with which we began our previous segment. And thus the whirligig of time brings in his revenges. And this is how it's reminding us of Yeats, the whirligig of time. The cycle of time. Yeats would have compared it to a spiral. The cycle of time brings in his revenges. So what he says over here is somewhat very true, but what he forgets over here is that cycle of time will also bring Malvolio's revenge on people like Feste. And Malvolio gives a hint to that before disappearing for the rest of the play. Malvolio says, I'll be revenged on the whole pack of you. I hope you remember that the word pack is very important over here, because we normally use it for pack of wolves. The person who is bullied would always look at these people from that perspective. Now, you can see, of course, this gives both Olivia and the Duke the opportunity to show that they have returned to their saner selves. But we can see that Malvolio is a misfit to live in this world of Illyria. But the way he is treated, the problem of Malvolio, leaves a bitter taste in the mouth after he leaves. That's all with Malvolio's character. In the next segment, we will pass our conclusive remarks on the play. Thank you.